Hello, this is Compound Interest Stock Guy, and today in this video I'm going to talk about companies that I believe have a great chance of being extremely profitable. And I'm going to talk about outdoor grows, and I'm also going to talk about this new deal with World and Agriflora. So stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell notification down below, and please give me a thumbs up. Helps my channel. I also want to disclose I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment and information purposes. Do not buy or sell stock based on anything I talk about. Buy or sell after you did your research and your due diligence and you like the investment you're pursuing. So yeah, so here's this deal that just came about just a few hours ago. It says that ICC, International Cannabis, they can purchase up to 100,000 kilograms over 5 years from Agrifloras. So that's pending on Agriflora getting their sales license. And yeah, it'll be 10% of the flower that they produce at the Delta Greenhouse Complex. And then they're talking about some ICC finishing facility. Talking about a facility to process it. So yeah, that's the deal. And now I'm just gonna leave you with the background of outdoor grows. This guy, he's a seed. He died, but him and they're called strain hunters, and they went all around the globe to find really rare genetics for landrace strains for indica and sativa, because there's people in the industry that believe this strongly, is that a lot of the uh, strains have been mixed with too many strains, so you don't get the peer effects. And I think that's where it's the medicinal effects when you have a really pure bred strain. So that's the reasoning for trying to find all these amazing pure strains, and they went all around the globe. And yeah, this is him just breathing in the essence and the aroma of the outdoor cannabis. I think there's some really good terpenes to be found in outdoor grows. I'm not the most knowledgeable about outdoor cannabis growing, but I think it's going to play a big part in the future, and it's going to be extremely profitable when you have companies, even in Canada, if they could just do one grow a year and they can grow, say, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 kilograms, and it's only costs them 15 cents per gram. So that's really inexpensive. I mean, that's yeah, I mean that's like $6 million to be able to grow 40,000 kilograms. So that's really inexpensive. So the amount of profits that you could make off that is insane. Let me just double check. Times yeah, 6 million, and then the amount of 40, then it could sell for $4 or $5 per gram to the retailers and whoever else is going to buy their product. So even if they only got $3 per gram, if they sold say like 30 or 40,000, they're gonna get a lot of profit in that. I mean, you're talking anywhere from 100 to $200 million in sales in these outdoor grows, and it's costing them only like a slight fraction. So that's kind of where I see the industry going. I also see I think it's going to be a big. I know Tilray is working on an outdoor grow in Portugal, and there's a lot of companies that are trying to get an outdoor grow. And I mean, it doesn't seem as if any one company has a huge cannabis grow outdoors. There might be some outdoors grown in Jamaica right now with some companies that even I'm invested in. Like I think LGC Capital has a percent ownership in this company that's growing in Jamaica, and I think they're growing outdoors. But when we're talking that these companies that are gonna do say like all year round and they're gonna grow like 200,000 kilograms, 300,000 kilograms per year, that's when you're really gonna start to see some of these companies really prosper and be profitable. Um, yeah, I mean that's just the next stage because I mean, in these countries, Mickey D on YouTube, he has all these books, and I haven't read any of his books, but I do agree with things that he's saying. He's got books such as talking about uh, growing outdoor in South America and Africa, and uh, and then he's got some other books too. But he also has his YouTube channel. He's got a good YouTube channel, and yeah, I watch his videos. But basically, what's going on is some of the soils in some of these countries are really good for growing cannabis, and it's I think it's the same type of uh, the fact that people don't grow uh, coffee beans in Canada or USA, really. I mean, maybe some companies do, but the mass majority of the billions of dollars in sales uh, that's is coming from Colombia, Chile, Panama, and all these different countries in South America and South America and just even Mexico, and where these are like very poor countries, but it gives them jobs for the people. So it's good in that aspect. And there's companies that are going to do the same type of mindset in the cannabis arena, and where they can grow it all year round, and it's going to be very prosperous. So it hasn't hit that wave, but there's a lot of companies that are eyeing it up. I know Wayland has some assets like Afrieta's, Aurora, and Flower. I mean, a lot of these companies do, but they're just in the planning stages. Really, they haven't really. They're pre-revenue earning, and the potential for these outdoor grows is ginormous in my opinion. And in some of these companies that they have really small market caps, like under 300, 400 million, if these companies can execute and start growing 100,000 kilograms in places where it costs them 15 cents there per gram, or less, it would be like 5 cents per gram in Colombia. The amount of profits that these companies and the revenues that they can make is really huge, and they can turn it into CBD and THC oils and gel capsules and a host of other things when this industry is going to grow bigger. And that's kind of the next wave. But there's also another thing that I want to talk about, which is which is the basis for this video, is that automation is going to be a big ingredient in the cannabis industry to be profitable, because the the cost of labor is very expensive when you have, say, 300 workers. And it's not just the fact automation is going to play a key in having quality cannabis, and it's going to play um, with it's going to have a really good effect on growing bigger yields, because as soon as they can compile all the data and see which works under different strains, and they have a blueprint for each strain that they're doing that they can just replicate, then the company's yields will grow, and they'll have uh, better flower and better product, and they will lose like a lot less crops. Like, I mean, it's very virtually like eliminated to lose crops in some of these automated facilities. And the companies that I'm going to talk about, I'll get into them, but I just wanted to kind of go on that I know people are aware of the automation, but a lot of the money goes into Chronos Group and Canopy, and I mean, they have automation, but there's they don't have they don't have the most expensive automation. That's why at these facilities they have 300 workers or so. Whereas at the companies that I'm going to get into, they can grow at that same, and then they can only need anywhere from like 25 to 40 workers. So the cost to grow every gram completely is eliminated, and that's just the fact. I mean, it's almost getting into these days where they don't need as many workers because automation is going to take over. And it's kind of a scary thing, to be honest, that your jobs will be replaced because they have automation. So, but it's something that's it's a danger for. But the fact of the matter, as far as an investor in the cannabis industry, I'm not going to go through a rabbit hole of talking about that. But I do want to mention the fact that these companies, to be able to grow better product, it can change. They can fine tune the amount of water they're getting, the humidity, the temperature, just the sunshine that it's getting, like the light, and all these different facets. And on top of that, some of these facilities that I'm talking about are the thing with cannabis. Cannabis weed is it has their facility in Smith Falls. It's not it's not completely like closed off like the way the facility is. So the smell gets out, and I've gotten a post from one of my viewers that said that they had a house near Smith Falls, and their house lost a lot of property value, and it just says it reeks of cannabis. And I don't know, it's such, but these ones, and I've heard that with MedMen, there's been complaints with some owners, and when they're growing, say like 20,000 or 10,000 kilograms, and they're 100 feet away from houses, that smell somehow gets into the house, even with all these different types of like ventilation and stuff that's supposed to get it to eliminate it. But these facilities are pretty remarkable, and they've taken a lot longer to build than just retrofitting a facility. But then you're gonna not have problems with the smell, and it's gonna be a lot better for cost efficiency per gram, and to really scale up, and the fact that it can be consistent. They're growing it the right way, and it's something that people really need to keep their eyes on in this industry, because these are the companies that are going to have really nice profit margins when their facilities completely ramped up. I mean, we're talking, if the company is going to cost like 65 cents per gram or 75 cents, and they're growing, say, 30,000 kilograms, and it costs them only that much. I mean, uh, there's gonna be like administration costs and like stuff like that. That's gonna be extras. So I mean, you could say maybe $2 or $3 if these companies are running at 100% efficiency. But at the same time, if they're gonna charge like $4 to $6 per gram, and they're selling like 50,000 kilograms, they're gonna get around $100 million in profits per year. Like it could be significant. And when you look at the companies that are retrofit, they're gonna have a lot tougher time to stay in business with the profit losses, um, because it's going to cost them a lot more money to grow every gram, and they also lose crops. And so some of these companies that aren't automated just will cease to exist with time, because the more efficient companies end up eliminating the less efficient companies over time. So it's a cycle in the market when they're in expansion, and every company comes out and wants to be in the business, but then as soon as it's crunch time, that's when the results matter. So anyways, I'm going to get into the companies that I'm talking about. Is The first one is Sunniva, SNN and SNNVF in America, and their facility, they're going to do a lot of money this year, like just with their extraction for their branded products, like somewhere around like 70 to 75 million. But when they're running at full scale, their facility is extremely advanced with automation. They could be doing 250 to 300 to 400 million in the next 2 or 3 years when they're running at full capacity. They're probably not gonna have their harvest till the end of the year, and then they'll start slowly growing, and then maybe like the end of 2020, they'll be close to full production. Maybe they'll be doing like 20, 30,000 kilograms, and so that's when they're going to be doing around like they're sourcing the cannabis for their products, so they won't need to do that as much. But if they do that as well as their own business, then they can do anywhere from like 175 to like 300 million by like on like an annual run rate in 2021 to 2022, somewhere around that time. But it's going to be an amazing profits when they're running at uh, full capacity, and it's taken them a long time, and but it's going to pay off to the long-term investors in Sunniva when they are running at full capacity. I truly do believe that it's going to be a money machine. They're exiting out of Canada because they're going to sell their assets in Canada. They have clinics, and then they started a facility, but then they stopped, and they put in like $20 million, but they're going to get that money back or some of it. So that they're going to use towards their California business, and so it's going to be a big winner in the next 24, like at least. I mean, it could go up a lot in the next 6 months to 12 months, but I think especially in the next 12 to 24 months, when they when people start to realize how efficient this company is, then that's when the company is gonna really shine. So their day will come, I truly do believe, because they're taking the time to do the automation and have a completely um, just closed off greenhouse that's just so advanced. They have Holland make greenhouses, like they engineer, and that's where the best greenhouses come from, and that's who's working on the project or they get the plans from. So yeah, SNN, and then a company that a lot of people talk about, and they also grow organic cannabis, and their ticker in Canada is TGod, and I think it's TGODFF in America, but I could be wrong. And they they have a lot of cash, but their facility is automated. It will be automated by a company called Eaton, and it's a $20 billion automation company, but they also do other stuff. So they're not a pure automation company, but it's a humongous company that's working on their facility to make it super high tech. And that facility will be very profitable on top of the organic sense of it, because when they are growing organic cannabis, they're gonna get a premium on just regular cannabis. So I don't know how much, like, I don't know when they're gonna get to that level where they're really at full production or close to it. I'd say maybe 12 to maybe 30 months is when they're really gonna start to shine probably. So if you got a 1 to 2.5 year timeline, I think that's when you're gonna see the price of the shares. Um, I mean, it is pretty high of a market cap, so I mean they're gonna have to really execute. They have a lot more to prove to the market than some of these other companies, but uh, but they will be profitable when they're running at full capacity. I truly believe that. But at their valuations, I'm not such a big buyer. Like I have 0 shares in TGod, but I look at it here and there. But I'd be more like want to get it in at like 250 or something like that. But will it go that low? I don't know. But regardless, that's my other company that I think is going to be really efficient, and a company that everybody talks about on YouTube. Uh, Probably don't even need to say the name, but I'll say it. Aurora Cannabis, ACB in Canada, and it's also got ACB in America. And their facility in Edmonton is very advanced with automation, and it's very big. And when they are running at full capacity, they will be very profitable. But the thing that isn't the best part of their business is they spend a lot of money on trying to acquire every asset in the industry. So that's why I don't want to buy Aurora at these levels. But regardless, their facility, when they're running it at full capacity, will be extremely profitable per gram. I believe so. They're also building in Medicine Hat, which has the most sunlight per any town, I believe, in Canada. So it gets a lot of sunlight, and apparently it's going to be even more advanced. And they're building Aurora in Nordic, and they're getting their name out all across Europe. So they will have some very advanced facilities that will be automated, and it will eventually be very profitable. But I don't know when they're going to get to that level, like as a business, just because they have they burn through so much cash. So if they were just able to slow down and maybe eliminate some employees. I mean, maybe they have too many employees, things such as that, to decrease their cash spend, then that's gonna help them out. But I don't know. That's the biggest question mark. But as far as the facility is, I th- I think it's going to be very profitable for Grams, and just the way they're going to synergize all their businesses. But it's just basically they need a lot of money to expand because their goals are very lofty. So yeah, and also want to talk about Wayland, Wayland Group, WAYL, and MRRCF in America. And this company has been very scrutinized, and they also just did they're finalizing a deal very soon, should be in the next week or less, and their facility is very advanced that they're building. It's an automated by Rockwell Automation, and Rockwell Automation is a very big company. They're they're like $10 billion or $20 billion, I think. $20 billion company, a big automation company, one of the biggest in the world, and that's who partners with them in building their facility. And so they believe their cash cost per gram is going to be somewhere around like 75 cents per gram. And so when they're growing, I think they're layering their first and their second phase. So I don't like they're supposedly done their first phase, I guess, but it hasn't. Not all the rooms have been okayed, as it takes time with Health Canada, I guess, or maybe some of it's not done inside. So that's for 217,000 square feet, but that should be good for around like 25,000 kilograms. But just it's going to be very advanced, just with all the watering and all that technology. It will need only 26 workers for a million square feet, or something. Like, it's very low. I mean, and that they're mainly focusing on Europe and the medical market in Europe, so they're not going to be dominating Canada. But I mean, they're working with RavenQuest to source cannabis for the rec market, so that'll help them out. But basically, they've been on a lot of under scrutiny for a while, and yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll turn around when the deal completes with their global assets form into uh, ICC or WRLD, and that's the ticker. And they have a lot of licenses, and Europe mainly focus, and South America, and now they're gonna source cannabis from Agriflora, and they have deals with a lot of distribution partners, and now with that EU GMP facility in Germany, and then get approved for lots for the German tender that's to start in summer 2020, I believe. So that's a separate company than the Wayland company, but they'll be working together. And but the Wayland facility is going to be sending the cannabis to ICC as well as Canon Medical in Germany to source for the pharmacies. They have big deals, but they haven't really been able to uh, produce a lot of cannabis for these companies yet. So, but maybe at the end of the year, they're supposed to really ramp their production, and their revenues are supposed to really improve by then. So it could be a really good company to own in 2020 at these prices. It could be a very good play. I mean, if they start growing 20,000 kilograms in 2020, and they're selling it for like $7 per gram. That's like 150 million per year, and they could have some good profit margins. So I don't really like the CEO, but I'm trusting with the other management team and International Cannabis that they synchronize the company and they start really growing the business to be a leader. And that's kind of what I'm waiting on. But their facility is going to be extremely advanced. And it's just basically that's what summarizes my whole focus on this video is companies that are going to be extremely efficient. And that's what you need to be if you want to be a profitable company in the future. And that's the name of the game. I want to own companies that are going to be extremely profitable. I'd love it for some of my shares, maybe in 5 years or less, that I own these companies and I have, say, like $30,000 in the company and I'm getting like 2 or 3% dividend yield, which would give me like 600 and 900 bucks just every year. That'd be awesome. So that's what I want to have is profitable companies, and I think outdoor grows and very advanced automation automated facilities is the way to go. And I think the extraction companies are going to be very profitable as well. And I'm sure people know the big names in the industry, but I'll say them is VGW Valens and Metafarm Labs and Halo Labs in America, and they're going to come into Canada, and they're really ramping up their business. And um, oils, so Nextly Solutions, and I think it's NXEAF in America, and those companies will be very profitable in the future. I think that when Valence Groups gets to peak capacity where they're running like 150,000 kilograms to 250,000 kilograms, what they're talking about, and they're getting in the 150 to $200 million in revenues, that they should be able to do probably like 30 to 60 million in net income. So if they're banked on like a 30 to 50 PE ratio, then that would give them uh, 30, like a 900 million to a 1.8. And if they were doing like 60 million, then that would give them somewhere around like a $3 billion market cap based on like a 50 PE ratio if they're going to grow at $200 million per year. So that's kind of the focus. I kind of pride myself on trying to be ahead of the curve, which I believe I have been. I noticed that companies were changing from uh, just being all about hype and no revenue to being more about revenues. So that was the big ticket. I focused on those companies and I did really good on some companies by having that mindset and staying away from companies that don't make any revenues. For example, if I would have bought TGod at $8 or something like that just because there's so much hype, but it wasn't making any revenues at the time, and there's other companies as well because they're not making much revenues, but people start just hyping it up and it goes skyrockets. But that's now it's changing towards profitability, EBITDA, and profitability in the industry. So that's kind of the name of the game. You want to be in companies that are going to be profitable. Now, a company that's not automated that I think is going to be extremely profitable is Village Farms. So I'm not going to go into that, but that's I hope you like the video and subscribe for future content and hit the bell notification so you're notified when I upload, and give me thumbs ups. I really appreciate that, and I hope you learned. And until next time, peace.